Hi, this is Wendy Lee. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the U.S., and I'm really excited that you're joining me today. I am showing you my project that I created for the All-Star Tutorial Team Blog Hop. So this month we're featuring the Artistry Blooms product suite, and I'm using the hand-drawn blooms stamp set from the suite to create today's project. We're going to do a little bit of shadow stamping. Hopefully you can see the detail of how the color is just offset that gives it a nice little shadow to the side of those flowers. Love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, let's get started. I'm going to bring in my piece of mint macaron and my stamparatus, and I'm going to go ahead and place this in the upper corner there, and go ahead and ink this up with Just Jade ink. Get it nice and inked up, and we'll go ahead and stamp that on this side. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and slide this out, and I'm going to bring in my Whisper White layer that is going to be on the inside of my card, and go ahead and stamp this at the same time. Looks like I got ink all over already. That always happens for me. A little bit messy. All right, go ahead and ink that up. I'm going to close this before I make a bigger mess, and ink this up as well. All right, so stamped that. So this is for my card inside. So while I had green ink on this, I went ahead and stamped that so it's nice and pretty. Okay, slide that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. So I've got to grab my chamois that is a little bit damp, not crazy wet, but a little bit damp, and see if we can go ahead and clean this up. My chamois is very well loved. It's a little stained, as you can see, and it doesn't have a lot of moisture in it. So I may not be able to get all this ink quite off of here, but we'll do the best we can. It would help if this had a little more moisture in it, but that's okay. And this is a very detailed stamp, and I've got ink all down in the nooks and crannies. Always fun, right? All right. Now that we've shaken you and you're all dizzy, let's go ahead and slide our paper back in, and hopefully I don't get all this ink. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and flip my grid paper over just in case that ink is really wet, so I don't get it all over. So since I was all the way up in the corner, I'm just going to slide this out ever so slightly. Really, really skinny slide here. All right. We'll see how that goes. I just want a slight offset, so I just get the little shadow of the green with the white. Let's go ahead and stamp that with Versamark. And hopefully our green ink was dry enough that we don't get our powder stuck to it. Move this out of the way. Bring in our white embossing powder. Hope for the best. Yes, it looks like it only is adhering to our Versamark, which is good. So it does help if you have a little bit of drying time between the two stamping images. So pretty. Love the heat tool. Embossing is still one of my favorite techniques. Just love it. All right, let's go ahead and bring our stamparatus back in. Excuse me. And we're going to go ahead and switch this out so that we have the wishing you a happy birthday stamp. Now, when I stamp this, I want to go ahead and put this back up in the corner. And I only want the happy birthday portion of the stamp. So I'm only going to ink up the lower half of this sentiment, which that's one of my favorite things about this particular stamp set, is that the stamp set has a nice space. It's meant to go with the banner image that's in the set, but the nice space makes it really easy for you to split your sentiments if you wanted to. So, you know, that's always a nice, fun thing. Makes it really versatile. All right, we'll go ahead and heat emboss that sentiment. Great. Get the powder out of our way. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to some Just Jade cardstock. Get some of my embossing powder off of my work surface here. And let's go ahead and lay down a little bit of adhesive. Kind of did that backwards. Normally I put it on the smaller piece versus the larger piece, but you know, you go with what happens as you go here. All right, so that piece is down. So next I want to go ahead and wrap a little bit of the Just Jade gingham ribbon around. Love this ribbon. Actually, I think I have a smaller piece. Yeah, I'm going to use this scrap here. And I'm going to wrap my ends around. Look at that, my whole fingers are green. I've made a mess somewhere. All right, so just wrapping that to the back, nice. And then I can slide this piece in and go ahead and make my bow. So I like to do my 2 loops, crisscross, and tie. Hold my knot and pull my loops. All right, get that nice and tight, and then we'll just mess with this bow for a moment until we're happy with it. This ribbon actually ties pretty easy if you can get it oriented the way you want it to. All right, that's nice and tight. Let's see if I can keep it that way. For whatever reason, I'm losing the battle here. Let's see if I can get my finger in that loop. There we go. That's what I needed. Perfect. Well, I don't know if it's perfect, but it's pretty, so I'm going to go with it, right? All right. Go ahead and clip the ends off this because they're a little longer than I want them to be. You could keep messing with the bow if you wanted to, if it's not to your liking. I think it's looking pretty cute. Yay. All right. So let's go ahead and bring our card front in. Hopefully I don't have too much green on me. So I'm using thick Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half, run my bone folder across, and then I want to go ahead and add some texture to my Whisper White layer. So I've done that with the Tasteful Textiles embossing folder, one of my absolute favorites. If you don't have this one, I highly recommend adding it to your arsenal of goodies, because it is one that you will absolutely fall in love with. To me, it's just as versatile as the Subtle embossing folder, also one of my favorites. So these two have been definitely a go-to for me for several months now. So anyway, if you don't have it yet, my point is you won't regret getting it, having that on your list. Perfect. All right, get this in here. And then I'm going to go and adhere this down with dimensionals as well. Now, if you don't like a lot of height in your cards, because that bothers you when you go to mail them, you don't have to add the dimensionals in your layers. I like lots of height, lots of texture in my projects, so I like all the extra dimensions. This card shouldn't cost you extra postage, I don't think. Not too bad anyway. So there's the outside. So let's go ahead and bring our design to the inside. So bring back in this piece we stamped earlier, where we brought those blooms back in. Cute, right? And we're going to go ahead and adhere this to this layer here. But I want to add a little sentiment that says friend. Yeah. it is. All right. So let me add my Just Jade ink one more time. Ink that up lightly. Perfect. Get this closed. Hopefully the camera's still rolling. I don't know if when my computer screen falls asleep if it still goes or not. We'll find out. Perfect. There we go. Then we'll stamp and seal on the back. And our layer is down. And then we'll go ahead and adhere this to the card inside as well. If you haven't tried the Stamp and Seal, I highly recommend it. It's such a wonderful adhesive. It took me a little bit to get the hang of using it, but if I do the little flip at the end, it works very, very well. Cute, right? Love the shadow stamping. You can do that with ink. You don't have to necessarily emboss it, but I think the embossing adds a nice special touch to it. So I hope you love this one, and we'll give it a try. Thanks so much for joining me today. Bye for now.